Of course, it is very hard.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo. It is time we look at the events that made headlines through the week, and the panel delves deep into analysis of those major events. It's been a week of tributes and Thanksgiving. We will be looking at the Memorial Thanksgiving in honor of the late General Alonda Nyakairima, the former CDF, who is credited for instilling discipline in the army, but also for his heroic encounters during the Iron Fist operation against the Kony rebels of Lord's Resistance Army. And of course, he's also credited for spearheading the National ID project, which he delivered. And the event was in Munyonyo. It was attended by His Excellency the President and many other high-ranking dignitaries in this country. But also, we had a somber moment following the passing of the State Minister for Defense, Honorable Salah Mateke. Salah Mateke, at the age of 50, succumbed to heart failure, and she was laid to rest in her home district of Chisoro. Glowing tributes continue to come in, eulogizing the former minister as a leader who was focused, who worked hard for her constituency and her country. Joined in the studios by a panel of distinguished gentlemen. We will come back, Richard Baguma, who has been away for a while. Happy to see you once again. Speak to our viewers, Richard, and welcome back.
It's happy to, this is the happy place to be. Yeah, so I thank God, obviously. The very powerful, extremely powerful, but also so forgiving that we see all the time and we are still here breathing, appearing before cameras. So really, I am grateful for life and the ability to be here. I want to express my very sincere gratitude to our viewers.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they do take their time, they do give us feedback, and for me, frankly, I feel galvanized and energized by that. Of course, the visionary foresight of the management of Next Media. Apollo, thank you for being Salt Media. Oh my God!
It's okay.
And you, Apollo, either in your red or pink shirts.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me to tease you about it. I did not notice that you're either putting on red or pink. Somebody brought it out to one of our viewers. Of course, the Werike who is consistent, whether we run or not. And then you bring for me my friend.
Yeah.
Because he's my friend.
Augustine.
And I'm like, okay, so this man. But I think real estate house is a good place to work. For us, we worked in a state house which was not as good as the people. So it's nice to see my panel, my fellow panelists.
Thank you so much, Richard. Welcome back from the Joe Biden land.
Yes. Thank you.
Dr. Jared Were Wansala, public policy researcher, has been very consistent. We applaud you for that. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you very much. Of course, you should thank me, but I'm still waiting for my cake.
Wow.
I hope you hand it to me at Canaan Land.
Yeah.
Because I intend to visit.
Yeah.
I've not been there. So I also would like to greet our viewers and to thank them, just like my colleague, that without them, the show is useless.
True.
And of course, I will not forget my consistent followers from the United Republic of Chirinya. I love you so much. And you mentioned something. You forgot about football.
Oh, yeah.
One of the key issues.
Yeah, sure.
We are supporting the Uganda Cranes, but thugs are beating us. Every time the game ends, and we walk out of the stadium, the thugs around the Chireka, Nambole begin collecting phones, money, and we have police and the military inside there. Why can't we have even just 20 plainclothes operatives planted in the civilians and teach these guys a lesson? You know,
sure,
yes, it's really, it's a matter of concern, absolutely. Because it doesn't make sense. You go and watch football, by the time you get home, you have no phone. Your people cannot trace you. So please, security, pay attention to this, not only to the politics that we are going to talk.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeda Dwere-Wansala. But we are privileged again to have our colleague, Comrade Augustine Otuko. And Augustine is a political analyst, but also the private secretary to President Yoweri Museveni. I'm happy to have you on the show this morning.
It's a pleasure being here with very senior people. My friend Baguma.
Yeah, Richard said something about you.
I'm seated between these two. Myself.
We have a forum somewhere outside there where we meet and discuss. I want to say thank you for inviting me to share with Ugandans. But as a senior lecturer here has said, much as there is a negative in the football, but there is also the positive side in Nambole, that as a country, we have been helping other countries to host their games. I think it's the first time in the history of this country.
Kenya has been hosting their games in Nambole.
In Nambole, even Zimbabwe was here with Cameroon. I think it is a positive on the side of the Ministry of Sports. And it is also a sign that maybe we are moving to the right direction in terms of developing our sports. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and welcome once again our viewers to the dialogue this morning, looking at several issues. We will also have time to look at the party defections that have begun. As we head into 2026 elections, this week we received reports confirming that prominent members of Parliament have joined the ruling party, the National Resistance Movement, specifically Honorable Abdu Katuntu and Honorable Martin Ojala Mapenduzi, who happen to be independents in Parliament, declared their intentions to join the National Resistance Movement. And you expect such defections around this time, because we are just 1 year to the elections, and we'll be looking critically on the matter of about what these defections could mean around this time. Could we be seeing many more defections, and more specifically to the ruling party, and looking at the conflicts in major opposition political parties, looking at the infightings? What can we expect as we move closer to the 2026 elections? But before we do that, gentlemen, let's quickly look at the glowing tribute both to Honorable Salah Mateke and the late General Alonda Nyakairima during the memorial Thanksgiving. Dr. Jeda Dwere-Wansala, I request you to take the first shot. What do you pick from these tributes? From my side, I will make two critical concerns. One is about the death of Salah Mateke at 50 years, died of heart failure. I've read reports that there was a struggle to take her to a medical facility from Musanji, where she suffered the attack, up to Mengo Hospital, where she was later pronounced dead. And I heard His Excellency the President talking about NRM cadres to always mind their health, to always go for regular checkups. And he related to the incident of Jane Alonda, who also passed on a plane from South Korea to Dubai. And you can't believe it, Honorable Salamateke was also, from the President's speech, was also slated to travel to the same security conference in South Korea. And you could read that possibly the President was saying this also could have happened, I mean, on a flight. So what do you pick? Me, I pick this issue of communicable diseases. How much attention have we given to these so-called lifestyle diseases? And good enough, Baguma is here, will give us his perspective.
I think that's a very important topic. Of course, it's just for opening, but I want to begin by also sending condolences to the family of the Honorable Mateke. He's one of our mentors, we who passed through Uganda People's Congress at that time. He was one of the pillars of that party, and that family is very popular in Kisoro to date. For me, losing someone at 50 is really young. But it goes, you know, I would like to disagree with the President when he only tells the NRM cadres to go and mind checking their health. This is not an NRM problem. It is a national problem. There is a study in Mulago Heart Institute, which Professor Omagino was actually, you know, talking about this very week, that 25% of Ugandans are having heart-related issues. And he said by distribution, it doesn't matter whether you are in the urban or rural. Even in rural areas, people are falling down and dying. So I think we need deeper study. We need deeper investigations. We need also to make especially diagnostic facilities accessible. In much of the country, there's nowhere you can find echo, and then the other one, there are two major tests that can detect the heart. Many of us in Kampala here, you'll go to key, you know, facilities, not everywhere. So those people in the rural areas even have more problems. So probably we need, if 25% of your people are sick of something, probably we need to go, one, look at the underlying causes. One of them is what Baguma has been fighting the whole of this year. But when it got nutrition, the other is the alcohol, uncontrolled alcohol consumption and regulated. Unfortunately, when the bill was presented, MPs did not even give it. Actually, from the report, they just killed it without even picking out the positive from the bill. We know there's a lot of pressure from the alcohol industry, but I think we need to look at the causes of this. When we make our schools, we build our schools, do we provide an environment where people can exercise? When I studied in China, every school had to have a pitch for physical exercise where people can play basketball. At least you have to plan your building in the way that you can accommodate classes, yes, but you also have space for exercising. So these are some of the things. When we are planning for our cities today, are we having those parks? I see now in Kampala, parks are owned by the army or police. You go to Citizens, City Square, Kololo is now being fenced off with the wall. Why are we putting walls everywhere? You know, so I think as a country, it is just a point of reflection on this. And then on the Honorable, I did not, because Honorable Sarah Mateka has not been in politics for long, I knew she was a state minister for youth. Yeah. And I knew she was a strong supporter of the MK movement. And then she was taken to defense. Surely the political career has not been so long. Like for her dad, if I was to talk, I would talk a lot. But for General Aronda, I would like to agree. He's a celebrated hero of this country. We know what he stood for. You know, when Balalo entered through Sangobe after being expelled from Tanzania, and then they entered to capture land in Sangobe, he stood up. He said, no, this is the land of Ugandans. You cannot just enter and then the next day you want to register to get national ID and you vote. He was very strong about it. And based on that, he decided to work so hard to deliver the national ID project.
Wow.
I also saw him making a lot of interventions in Apa, the conflicts between Mahdi and Acholi. Unfortunately, he died before that was accomplished. But he fought so many battles.
Wow.
And for me, he was also disciplined. He knew no tribe. Having studied in northern Uganda and lived in different parts of the country, Aronda did not praise this thing of tribalism, nepotism, no. He was a pure nationalist.
Thank you. Richard, quickly in tribute to these fallen heroes of our heroes.
Yeah, there's the usual thing of condolences, right? Yeah, that one is a given. I think Aronda died at 56.
Yeah.
Aronda was around an age, but not far away from me. And I think he also died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
Then you have Mateche. But you see, this is dramatic because it's in the news. I push myself around the area of health as a health communicator, whatever. And then you have to you get into spaces. Now, the information about our health situation is available, largely. He has just talked about one study by Dr. Omajino, but the Health Institute has several studies. The Cancer Institute has several studies. These things, the School of Public Health, we have the information. And we see the exponential rise in non-communicable disease conditions. This we see. We know the information is available. We also know the inability for us to manage them. We also know. The Uganda Heart Institute, the last I checked, which is not too long ago, had 4 ICU beds.
Imagine.
4. So it means if you have 4 patients, and sometimes the patients would be lent to either the Cancer Institute, because then they bring or from the women thing. They come and occupy the bed because they are looking for this service. So that's one. The second thing is, of course, the situation of ambulances. You have the situation of the roads themselves, but also the situation of ambulances. And heart attacks are not attacks which give you time.
Yeah.
No, heart attacks are you just go. But we know the factors. We have the consumptive factors, the food we eat, the smoke we smoke, or including the second-hand smoke. I was telling people, I did a survey the other day with my young people, these university-based young groups that we have. And they took me to 17 places in and around Kampala, here, in the center. And all of them were serving shisha. So just sitting in a shisha smoking place, you are smoking shisha yourself. It's science.
Wow.
Yeah, and you are risking your heart. And that is against a law that exists.
Yeah.
Because the law banning that is there. So, and then you have alcohol. He has talked about our situation in the parliament, where I am told for personal conflicts, the alcohol control bill was thrown out. They told me, no, forget it. This was a clash of personalities, and it is quite bad, and so they had to kill the bill. Ugandans can die at the altar of personal differences. Oh. Yeah, and that will go. So we are going to be coming back and talking about these things even more regularly. Yeah, and that's why I say, because the causes are there. So people ask me, why are you into road safety, nutrition, tobacco control, and alcohol? Because they are the biggest killers. We have been immunized, the communicable diseases, we have made a great journey defeating them, and we have given ourselves to non-communicable diseases. Now to the legacies of these ones. I think for me, the legacy of Sarah, the late Sarah Mateke, is actually the legacy of Mzee Mateke.
Filimon.
Yeah, I think that's what we are looking at. Except that the girl came, and people ask why I call her girl, because I am older than her. Yeah, the girl came and competently took up the mantle. Yes, so you can say that as a father and as a family, it is successful. Yeah, in that the quote unquote succession, a democratic succession in my view, she was voted on merit, that it worked well. They talk about the humility. Her colleagues, I didn't know her personally. They talk about the humility. They talk about the humbleness. They talk about the hard work. These are the qualities of Mzee Filimon.
Real value.
Yeah, that have kept him as a very influential man in his going to 90s now. Yeah, so I think that is a loss. That is a great loss. Young, and upcoming. General Aronda. I don't want to talk about General Aronda. No, there is enough that has been talked.
Yeah, true.
How I wish we could, for me, honor General Muntu,
Why?
and honor General David Muhoozi. Why do we wait for corpses? That was, for me, why are we waiting for corpses? General Muntu is here.
Thank you.
Is he a failure? Because he disagreed in retirement? No, I think it doesn't raise his clean record.
Yeah.
You can go and abuse him as a coward. He was what? For political reasons. And I'm talking about my president, the commander-in-chief, abusing him publicly. But how come you kept him for a decade? Perhaps you were the longest serving. So you, the commander-in-chief who appoints you, are appointing a coward to be a chief. So what are you talking? So for me, I wish we could honor these people when they are still here, when they are still alive. And we can therefore inspire the others that we don't wait for them to be corpses and then say good things about them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. And Richard Baguma is a communication expert, but also strong advocate for proper nutrition and can I say good lifestyle?
Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy lifestyle. Yes.
Thank you so much. And Augustine, I chose to pay tribute to our heroes from the side of how we are actually handling the causes of their death, and I think it is more, it makes meaning. At least pick one or two things and prevent more death. I mean, that may occur in a similar manner, because at around 56, we are losing people, and not just ordinary people. These are people who are being eulogized as selfless in leadership, in their leadership roles, people who have been so influential. What could be your tribute to?
Thank you very much, my brother Apollo. A lot has already been said, most especially by the brutal communication expert. He has put it plain in black and white. But I want to say that I was born in a camp, Chorimong, it's now a trading center with the lights. Those who may have not gone to that place in Katakwi so many years ago would imagine this is a town that emerged from nowhere. It was the biggest IDP camp. This IDP camp arose from the NRA rebellion, the UPA NRA rebellion. Eventually it transcended to the cattle rustling insecurity in the border of Katakwi and Karamoja. But what is fundamental for me to note with the Afande Aronda, may his soul rest in eternal peace, was that he had continuous engagement with the people of Katakwi. Every time there was a concern about the insecurity, or the border insecurity with Karamoja, he physically came as a commander. And there is no other commander in that area that the community can talk about with hands-on experience, discussing and dealing with the people directly. The only person probably who is following in his footsteps is the current division commander of the third division, Major General Don Navasa, who has also come with the same approach of directly engaging with the concerns of the people. And I think, to me, that's what I note most. As a young man who was growing up in an IDP, I was able to know a command of the army interacting with the local civilians about their concerns and trying to get responses directly to the people. There's something that we should learn as a people. From what you noted, what the president was saying, you know, there is a bit of negligence by the people working in government in these big offices in terms of managing their health. People want to work so much. They work for 7 days, 6 days a week, 10 hours, 8 hours, but sometimes they do not even have lunch because they want to see sure that they are really very dedicated. They are not doing any physicals. People believe that for you to do aerobics and physical exercise, you must be a rich person. There was a time I had started doing aerobics in Nambole, and one of my friends called me and said, "You mean you have also become rich?" because they, you know, that's the mentality.
That's a mindset.
That's a mindset issue. People think that for you to be healthy, to do things that prevent your body from getting such attacks, you must be a rich person. Human body is like a vehicle. You cannot continue driving a vehicle without servicing it. There must be regular checkup. You must be able to maintain it and ensure that it is in good condition. In Europe and the Western world, you find that there individuals make it a routine for people to go into medical facilities to check themselves. Even if they have not felt anything bad, they go and see a physician, a doctor, to ensure that they're in good health. Unfortunately, in Africa, we drive our bodies until the engine knocks. That's when we shall now realize that there is a problem. We do not have individuals walk into health facilities to check their health, to ensure that they are in good health before they get some of these challenges. On the issue of the Honorable Minister, Mateke, I interfaced with her when she was a youth minister. I have never seen a minister as humble as Sarah.
Sure.
And as available as anybody would want to see her. In fact, as a young man, I was able to interact with her to understand the opportunities that were available for young people within the ministry, and also share with her the feedback, as by then I was working as the research officer at the NRM party. So I was able to share with her feedback of what the young people are feeling about government programs and what I felt was important for her to address. And interestingly, after my interaction with her, I invited her to Soroti, and she was able to come and directly engage with the young people, and she got feedback from the ground. From the region, from the leaders from the region in Teso there. So I think, in brief, we have lost patriots, but most importantly, we must speak lessons as those who are still alive to ensure that we take our health as a priority.
Thank you so much, and those are really very pertinent concerns. As we wind up, Richard, you talked about the inability or inadequate capacity to manage these non-communicable diseases. And I don't know, is it about being ignorant about about the danger and the challenge that is before us? Is it lack of political will? What could it be? Because like Dr. Gerard Woodhead said, why couldn't we find time for exercise at least? For exercise. I remember we appointed day for exercise in Uganda. Where is it? I think there's a time when it's a national exercise day. I think it happens in other countries that at least people dedicate some time for physical exercise and make their bodies work instead of sitting and of course issues of nutrition, the diet we consume and all that. What is it? What could be the problem?
No, I think there are many problems. Let me give you an example. I worked in Norway, and the printing machine, the printer, was in the farthest corner of the office. But the computers were networked, so you'd push print button, but you had to go.
Oh, and pick the printed copy.
So I asked, this is inconveniencing. They said, no, we are saving your life.
Yeah, true.
Because you come in a train or a truck, for me I used to use the bicycle, you come and sit. And you sit the whole day. It's risky for you, but also a problem for our health system and our health insurance. So we want you to walk. So they structure exercising, quote unquote, into your routine.
Exactly.
Now when I was in DC this time, we were walking every morning. With the Ugandans from here, I went with. But just because the walks are so deliberate, the walkways are so deliberate, even on the highways. So for us, it's this two things, several things. But one, the lack of personal focus on the thing. Let me tell you one of the things I try to do is I try not to use the lift.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you know, these hotels, everywhere I'm going, I just try not to use the lift. And it's simple. It's a simple thing, but it's certainly beneficial. So we don't have that in our heads. And you see, it's not there from home. It's not there in school. It's not there, it doesn't get into our system. So we just don't do it. Exercising does not, you see, this thing of going to the gym is the next level of exercising. But at home, in the smallest space, you can actually exercise. You can determine that when I wake up in the morning, I will walk 150 steps in my muzugu. And you walk from there to here. and you go back.
Then you add some days to life.
So it's this lack of consciousness, absolutely. And you see, with the non-communicable diseases, the first intervention is prevention. That is the first and most important. Going to seek attention from medical workers is relatively late. Every time you are feeling something, it's relatively late. They don't give you signs or symptoms, generally.
And Richard, the biggest concern is that this is not a health risk to only people who are privileged or who have money or what. This time round, I have relatives deep in the villages of Isingiro who have diabetes, who are struggling with different kinds of ailments.
Yeah, because
it's now happening even.
Look at the science of the body. This is a joint, 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 this is a joint. The body was created to move. That is why you have a joint at every part. The body is made to move. Now, what do we do? What is our lifestyle?
We sit in vehicles.
Absolutely.
Hours, we come to our
and that
offices,
is what,
sit in chairs
and
for
that is what
hours.
is praised. That is what is praised. That is what is taken. That's what should be shunned. And then, what do we eat? Yeah. So this combination is fatal.
Our eating habits are very. Quickly from you, do you see progress in? Because I heard the Right Honourable Prime Minister saying they have integrated this non-communicable diseases strategy into the health.
Yes, we have a national strategy.
Policy.
Yes. We have a national non-communicable diseases
Are we doing
control
something about
strategy.
it?
Absolutely. Yes, let me tell you. And I tell people that it's local. I have engaged the school of my children. Now they have put 2 days of PE. There was no PE on the program at all. I said, no, when we were growing up, we had PE every morning. So I started engaging the school. It's just this. First, forget the prime minister's. I was part of the development of the national strategy on NCDs, but forget that one. It is the local, very localized, very personalized things that we must start with. And we need to have
Our
this.
kids are now struggling with obesity.
Oh, you look at the statistics, the recent statistics of census. You have a 14% increase in childhood obesity.
Thank you. Quickly, as we conclude, from Richard and Augustine, looks like it's a multiplicity of challenges that requires our attention. You talked about people finding time for exercise, and not only finding time, but it should also be integrated in our systems, in schools, in homes, in offices, and everywhere. Then you can make a final comment on it, because
When Richard was talking about the issue of nutrition, I thought about how
yes,
Ugandans we feed. But if you look at an average, dish of a Ugandan, there is a lot of posho, there's a lot of either rice, and then there's very little meat, maybe 2, 3 small pieces of, or one even, and then many times these greens are referred to as, for poor people. Others think they are not eaten by them. And so what time do we eat? I used to look at the Chinese health habits. Theirs are included within their culture, Chinese culture, which is also taught in school. That lunch begins at 11:40 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then they will have 30 minutes to walk around before they get back to office at 1:30. Yes. And then
how many minutes to walk?
at least 30 minutes of walking every day. And it's given in the offices and so forth. So when you come back, dinner starts at around 5 p.m.
It's in their culture.
It's in their culture. When, it is rare to find a Chinese having dinner after 7 p.m. Because for us we eat food at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Then we finish and enter the bed. So you are not going to burn any calories. That is why we develop these bellies. We develop the weight, and so we are not able to manage. For them, after 10, they are drinking green tea, which is helping with the system, with the circulation, and so forth. So, and then even their beds are very flat.
No wonder those people live longer.
Exactly.
Those Asians.
So maybe we need to integrate these basic health habits into our systems. It could be curricular. Actually, when you hear people say Chinese culture, it's nothing other than things to do with health, their history, how they are living, coexistence in the peace, and there's value it adds on the population.
Thank you so much. And we must conclude on this, but it's really a serious concern. And like I said, it has it's multifaceted in one or another, because as you encourage us to walk, Richard, our roads do not have even walkways. The walkways are even used for borders and
Actually, they want to knock you on the pavement and
actually
slap
it is
you.
risky. It is risky walking on our roads. So it's a huge problem, and that's why we call out to the authorities to look at this issue in with broader lenses and look at how we can. But we, in general, really commiserate with the families, and we say, may the souls of the dead rest. My name is Prince Apollo. You can join the discussion. We are looking at the big stories, tribute to Jane Alonda and Honorable Salah Mateke the late, but we have to cross over and look at what other issues happened in this week. I will start with you, Augustine. Looks like 2026 is already here. Abdu Katuntu Honorable Martin Ojala Mapenduzi declared they are joining the NRM, and you can expect those defections around this time, and they are not the first. What do you expect? What can we expect? I said relating to the conflicts and infightings in these opposition parties. From your point of view, what do you see?
Thank you very much. Politics, the way it is constructed, most especially party politics, there is no single party that owns a member. Members freely join and freely exit. And when you look at the history of Ugandan politics from the 1960s, 50s, 60s, you realize that these crossings started at that time. And what were the reasons why the people were leaving UPC and crossing to other political parties, or leaving UPC to go and form other new political parties, or leaving DP to cross to UPC? Every member that joins a political party has expectations. And probably at that time they believe that the ideology of that political party will be able to help them achieve the first intended purpose is to capture power. That's the objective of any political party, is organize and structure itself to ensure that they become formidable to take power. But in the event that that is not achievable, there are other objectives that individuals within political parties develop within their organization. There are those who will want to join a political party because that political party will help them achieve what they want, probably achieve a position.
Personal interest.
Personal interest. Maybe become a councillor, become LOC5, become MP.
A minister in government.
A minister in government, and so on and so forth. In the event that that is also not achievable, there are other objectives that may come into play, and those objectives may not necessarily be constant. They keep changing over time, and that's why you see even ideologies of political parties have kept growing and improving over time. Once that those objectives are not achieved by the members of these political parties, the most probable thing to happen is individuals looking for other alternative organizations, whether from those that are existing or try to create new ones that will satisfy their objective or their needs or their interests. So that's why you find that people like the Rugundas were previously UPC and they kept moving to other political parties. We also had in the struggle during colonial time, in the struggle to independence, students groups that were advocating for independence also kept disagreeing. There are those that started together and the others had to cross, others went back to support the colonial masters. So in brief, the idea of crossing will always exist as long as political parties exist. And this arises because of different interests that I've already enumerated. Now, heading to...
So you don't find these defections involving Honorable Katuntu and Martin Ojala Mapenduzi in any way peculiar?
They are not very peculiar because it is actually what has been happening and it will continue happening. You are talking about Mapenduzi and others, but there are also other people at a lower level that have been crossing from NRM, going back to other political parties. We have somebody who was NRM and eventually became RDC, NEBI. He's now a regional coordinator, I think regional coordinator of UPC, Lango region or something like that. So these things will continue happening because people are trying to position themselves for different reasons. And in my view, heading to 2026, of course, once you must also understand, if we are to look at Mapenduzi and Katuntu specifically, that Mapenduzi and Katuntu were in the faction of Muntu in FDC at that time. So when they there was a different, I don't know whether I should call it ideology or approaches, because Muntu had a different approach to politics, while Besigye had a different approach to politics. So the likes of Katuntu, Osegi of Soroti, Ariko, Herbert of Soroti, the likes of Mapenduzi and others were actually believers of Muntu because of the approach he was using. Once Muntu exited the FDC, their existence in FDC was no longer relevant because the people who remained in the mantle of leadership in FDC were individuals with a different approach to the politics of the country. And I think, I saw it coming that they will not be able to stay there.
Looking at the two, you can call them the big fish in any way. Does that speak to NRM somehow? I mean, attracting many more prominent politicians?
The NRM will attract more because of its relative stability as a political party.
Relative stability?
Yes, I call it relative stability. Of course, we also have our own internal squabbles within the members of NRM. There are internal fights, and those fights are only managed because of the existence of one gentleman called General Yoweri Museveni, because of his ability to be patient and to give people audience, but also most importantly to appreciate and be able to reconcile individuals. But going forward, when you look at all these political parties, NRM has exercised, has shown ability to manage friction within itself, and that will attract more individuals to join it.
To some extent, the infightings in opposition political parties may have been a driving factor behind these defections.
It will be, and it will always be, because as I said, what causes the infighting? It is about interests. Once individuals' interests are not met within those political parties, they will look for other political parties. It may not necessarily be NRM. It may actually be new political parties, but also maybe those that are already existing outside NRM.
Thank you so much, Augustine Otuko, political analyst, but also the personal secretary to President Museveni. But we also have Richard Baguma Tinkasimile, a communication expert, and Dr. Jira Duwele-Wansala, a public policy researcher, but also a lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. Let's go for a short break. When we return, in the second hour, we'll continue with the debate on party defections. Are we going to see many more of these defections as we head into the 2026 elections, and what could be the motivating factor behind these defections, and really what do they mean to the general politics of this country? Let's go for a break. We'll return after a short while. Welcome to the dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo. In the studio we have Richard Baguma Tinkasimile, we have Dr. Jira Duwele-Wansala, and we have Augustine Otuko, looking at the major events in this week. And you can be part of this debate. Send in your comments and observations. Tell us what you think about these two issues: the growing tributes to the late General Alonda, as well as the late Sarah Mateke, who passed on this week. And you also give us your comment on the party defections that have begun. Can we expect much more of this as we head into the political season of 2026 elections? What can we expect? Let me read these comments. Good morning, guys. Thanks for the show. Welcome back, Richard from the Big Apple. On the issue of paying tributes, why wait for the people to first die and then appreciate them? We should develop a culture of appreciating people when they are still alive, not this business of basi more genze. Invest more in public health systems and our country, as well as public health awareness of our citizens. Thank you so much. You did not give us your name, but it is Major Otim Joel. Thank you so much for following and that contribution. Okay, Pan-Africanist Rugarama says every human life is important and it's the primary responsibility of every responsible government to protect the lives of its people. There is no doubt that in Uganda we are doing very little, if anything, at both strategic and operational levels. Secondly, and very disturbing, for the second time now, my president, he talks about President Museveni, I presume, upon the demise of Honorable Minister Sarah Mateke, he said he didn't know about her condition, just the same way he said he didn't know about General Alunda's condition. It's only in the case of Comrade Noble Mayombo when he admitted to have been briefed about his condition. The confession that our president, a top consumer of intelligence, is not aware of his top cadre's health condition is unlike our president. I leave it at that. That is his comment. Thank you so much, Comrade Bugalamand. If you can quickly respond to him, the president should be aware of, I mean, he receives a lot of intelligence.
Thank you very much. Comrade Rugarama.
If he cannot know anything about his commander, I'm a commander, I don't know. Does it say something?
It doesn't say something because Comrade Rugarama knows. He knows. We discussed a lot with him. He knows that there is some intelligence that is hidden.
Hey.
There are individuals' health matters.
Yeah, true.
Sometimes
Yeah,
people try to. These are private issues. They tend to keep away some of these issues from the intelligence agencies and so on. They can only learn if an officer is frequenting a certain facility. Then they will be able to understand that maybe that officer has a problem. But I think it becomes very difficult unless you're a prophet to be able to predict on what Augustine is suffering from. But it will only require disclosure. If the officers are able to disclose, then
but
the
in
head
this
of
case,
state.
they are talking, it is the commander-in-chief with his army commander.
Yeah, you see, I will tell you an example. Even at the death of the former speaker, Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, the president was actually not briefed about how dire his situation was, because maybe it was a decision of the officer at that time not to disclose his health to him. You know, there are people who are very secretive. There are certain things, unless they have spoken, no agency may know.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Gerard Wedihe Wansala, speak about these defections. What do you read behind the scenes? And especially these defections involve prominent politicians joining the ruling party. And we are heading into a sensitive political season, while other formations are being born, like the PPF, is it People's Front?
PPF.
Yeah, People's Front, which is still struggling with approval from the Electoral Commission. But instead of joining these new formations, these prominent politicians are joining the ruling party. Is it galvanizing its dominance? What do you read?
First of all, I won't go far from what my brother on the left said. People switch. I'm not particularly talking about Uganda, but you know, parties usually hold different values, different ideologies. Then sometimes we have issues with the management style of the leaders. We have differences in strategy that I don't agree with you because the manner in which you are doing this is not okay. You're also seeing it even in the US currently, that there are people, elders in the Republican Party like Mitt Romney, the Bush, the Cheney's and others who are saying we cannot be part of this election because Trump does not represent the values of the grand old party, the Republic. So that is okay. But coming to our situation here, I remember around 2015, 2011 or 2015, there are some people who are facing competition from their constituencies. That time I remember Kadunabi, Mukasa, and then we have now the current executive director of Uganda Communications Commission, Nyombi Tembo. And what they did was to, and another one from the east, from somewhere in Palisa, they had to run to the president, Alan, and say, you know what, will you rescue us? We don't want to go back this side. And the president publicly at that time said that he compared the NRM to heaven. He said, if you come to your father's house, for it has many places for all of you. God. Now, for me, when he refers to the many places, I know that he has the jobs to give, he has the food on the table, can give monetary support to people. So, indeed, I would like to agree that his house is very big. It can accommodate these people. Going back, there was a time we were looking at people like Abdu Katuntu as possible presidential candidates in the politics of Uganda. People like Norbert Mao, people like, but along the way there was traffic jam, which was created by the permanent presidency. And so this traffic jam has somehow made people tired.
Yeah, it's fatigue.
Because if I look at people like the Honorable Abdu Katuntu, because at that time they were saying they disagreed with corruption, massive corruption. Today, corruption is free. People are doing it at the top high level, and we are not demonstrating anything to say that we are fighting it at a high level. So have the values changed, that now the NRM is good for him and therefore he agrees with the values? I don't believe so. At that time, he said NRM was not democratic. Both of them were not democratic. The president has not organized free and fair elections, no peaceful transfer of power. Has it changed? No. What are we seeing now? Now, more of an in-house contest between a president, the son-in-law, and the son, and they're all entering there. Does it represent what they believed at the time? I don't believe so. Now, coming to their constituencies, I would begin with Gulu. Laibi Badige of the Honorable Ojara Mapenduzi. Honorable Ojara, by the time when he came to Parliament, he had drifted away from FDC and came as an independent who was cooperating more with the NRM. Even when the NUP appointed him in the leadership of Parliament, of one of the committees, he had to side, during the time of censuring one of the commissioners, that is Honorable Zake. So the actions to me portray that Honorable Ojara Mapenduzi had already gone by his actions, and so for me it is not new. But looking at his political future, he's not an old man, but he has tension in the constituency right now. My information I have in Gulu City is that the General Otema Owany, who is very close to General Salim Saleh and who is armed with a lot of money, has donated the motorcycles to all NRM leaders or in that constituency because he's going to contest. And therefore, it is almost practically hard for anyone to come and contest on the NRM structure in that constituency and defeat the Otema Owany. He's likely to be the next MP because market women, borders, what? He has put his resources there, which Mapenduzi does not have. Now, in his calculation, would he like to just continue and be sacrificed on the political altar? No. I believe that he's making a foresighted move to see that politically he survives. He doesn't go and waste resources there, and then he can survive by being part of the ruling party. And going to Bugweri, the Honorable Abdu Katuntu, the last two elections, has had very challenging campaigns. In 2016, he won with about 35 votes.
Only 35.
Yes, the matter was in court, and almost everyone expected the election to be nullified. But he was saved by the ruling of the former Deputy Chief Justice, Stephen Kavuma, who was the head of the Court of Appeal at that time. So then in this election, he had a lot of pressure in an FDC-funded candidate, Council Julius Galisonga. So Bugweri is a boiling place. It's a boiling place. So
it's about political survival.
Yeah, I think if I look at his
personal
age,
interests.
Yes, he's moving towards...
Not a matter of change of ideology, that NRM's values now have, have metamorphosed into, those that can attract new and credible politicians. It's survival.
I don't believe that his switching or their switching has anything to do that with NRM values improving on. I don't agree. I believe it is an issue of political survival. We have seen the political stardom of the Honorable Norbert Mao was fading in the fights of DP, but making an MOU with NRM and becoming a minister has reignited his political career. So for me, it's a game of politics. It is a calculation, and everyone at this time is holding their pawns on the chessboard. And that is what
does that speak to the future of multi-party politics in Uganda? Because now the opposition political parties are weakening, actually at their weakest, but the ruling party NRM is actually attracting prominent politicians. Yeah,
I just said NRM partly attracts prominent politicians because it has a big house, it has resources, it has money, it has the jobs. President Museveni, you are talking about now, about checking, knowing about the health of his cadres. He has 81 ministers. He has 150 advisors and assistants. And so there are jobs. He can always, you have seen letters of him writing, you are so and so son. Okay, if you have a degree, I have told the comptroller to create for your job here and there. So those things are going to happen. But coming to multipartism, multi-party politics, one, is driven by an enabling environment. Can a political party raise resources? Are they able? In Uganda, many parties that are not even able to raise any resources. They are limping. Actually, when they win one parliamentary seat and they are able to get that 50 million per year from the Electoral Commission, some are surviving on that, like JEMA, the Justice Forum. They are able to pay some buy tea, nuts, and are able to be in the office. There are those that cannot even field a councillor in a constituency. Now, if you cannot raise resources, how are you going to play politics? Because you need to train people, you need to recruit, you need to do capacity building. It is also the behavior of the ruling government. If parties are left free with some resources, of course some have resources like the NUP, for instance, they are getting some good billions from the government of Uganda, and they also have funders. But does the enabling environment allow them to open offices, operate freely? I will give my example in Amisindo, I will not go far. There's a gentleman in Australia who rented an office for NUP and put a flag there. He's a Ugandan with dual citizenship. I'm telling you, the next day they went and broke down the office and all the GISOs, the DISOs. They cannot allow that office to coexist with the NRM office. So the environment, and then it is worse in the Western Uganda. If you open an office of DP or FDs, you are looked at as if a rebel in areas of Chiruhura and Sembabula and so forth. So the environment, people have not been sensitized that actually these political parties are training grounds for leaders. The other is political parties are also being formed sometimes out of anger. There is nothing driving you either ideologically to formulate a political party, but you are angry with so and so. You cannot stay within your political party and resolve conflicts, so you just go and form a new party. It also becomes a non-starter. And you have also seen when it comes to a enabling environment that factions are in the parties, some of them are supported by government, like the UPC. A Supreme Court of a country rules that you are not a president of that party. The highest court in Uganda. But you are sitting there. Because you know no one is going to get you. Just call police and police will side with you. So we are destroying our institutions, we are destroying our political parties.
Possibly that is why the Katuntus and the Mapenduzis are now.
Yes, and some of us are saying, let them go, let everyone enter NRM, it is okay. But one time the balloon might become so big and it explodes inside there. Politics is very dynamic. Yeah, politics is, because you can't deceive that so many people are coming together where they know very well they cannot effectively think or contribute, but they are all there and they are following one thing. So with the time, the balloon can explode and you'll see everyone scattering.
Augustine does not believe what you're saying.
Yeah, it's my opinion, of course.
That at one point.
Well, I think I would love to.
He's saying it may not be good for NRM if this is happening.
But you see,
when all other political parties are collapsing, NRM is growing bigger and bigger.
I'm trying to remember the NRM flag bearer of 2016 in Nakaseke, who is the MP under NOP now. I've forgotten his name, but I'll remember in the program. Then we also have Aisha, who was the RDC Kampala and who was a staff in State House. She contested in, I think, where does Honorable Chivumbi come from?
Butambala.
She's the woman MP of Butambala.
That's Aisha Kabanda.
Aisha Kabanda, and many more. So the point I'm making is that the defections are not one-sided. As I said before, it's about interests. And these defections will continue. You're actually going to see more NRM also cross to other political parties, while those in other political parties will move to NRM. But the point, lastly, I want to make is that the politics in Uganda is not necessarily, as you said, it's not necessarily about values and ideology. It is more of interest. It's not about the people. It's not about what the masses want. Individuals simply position themselves. We have not grown to that level where individuals are going to NRM because they believe in the NRM
in its ideology.
There are those who will join NRM because they know that once I am in a yellow t-shirt, I'll be able to win an election. Then there are areas, for example, in Soroti City,
there are opportunities
where you when you are NRM, you are almost disadvantaged. You will have to work so hard, maybe 10 times more than an FDC candidate. So we must be able to analyze it from that angle. That individuals, as he says, is about individuals try to fight for their interests, position themselves to win elections.
Thank you. Richard, do you find these defections, specifically these two, peculiar in any way, or they are normal defections? And do they speak anything about the political season we are heading into?
In Runyankore, there is something we call Okushemezo Bushwere. Now you Apollo, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Otuko.
If you,
I will also know.
if you have been in marriage for several years and you want to formalize
Absolutely.
the relationship,
You have been with your woman or your man. You have a house, you have a home, you have children. And then you go to church thereafter. And then they say, oh, but because in Christian terms, they were not calling it a marriage. So,
it was cohabiting.
Yeah. So if you have been cohabiting for
so
this long-
Katuntu and
I mean, really. And Dr. Werike described that. He was very graphic in his description of their behavior. So, but you still have a party, remember? In fact, the party can be very big. Yeah, formalization. So that's one. The second one is, if you talk about the defection, if changing party colors is defection, then one of the chief defectors we have in this country is called Yoweri Museveni. He has, in all his own words, said how he has moved from UPC to DP
To UPM.
to UPM to the one, the Waringa now. And you see, I was relieved, not quite my friend, when he moved from Waringa now, he has an office. State House. But the other one, these discussions we usually have. So I do want you, Dr. Weri, think hard. You are talking about lack of offices. The institution that has no offices up country is the Waringa, NRM. It doesn't have offices. Where are the offices? In which district? You are talking about the flag of NUP. These guys must take down the flag of NUP because they have no flag of NRM anywhere in Namsindo. So you are embarrassing them, all of them receiving money and deceiving the president that they are on the ground. Which one? This one, have you been there to Plot 10? I don't know if you have been there at that plot. You know, it's because I would challenge my people when I go to Barara. They are all my friends. You sit in SEC, you are my brother. MP for the I say, where is the office of because we have all these discussions, tea, coffee together, dinner at each other's homes. I say, so when I come and I want to go and discuss, they say you go to the RDC. The RDC is not a functional function. He's a government official of the president's office. So this don't worry about the lack of offices. We care about the others. Actually, people don't have offices. And you're talking about Uganda House. When the Supreme Court made a decision, the group against which they made a decision, but which still anyway functions as the de facto presidency, moved from one floor of Uganda House and to the next. That was the implementation of the Supreme Court decision, according to them.
But the money from Electoral Commission?
Yeah, but that I said they was to move from one floor up to the road.
Goes to the illegal.
Then they implemented. So you see, when you look at the wider context, the Honorable Abdul Katuntu, I think entered Parliament in 2001.
Yeah.
Yes, he was briefly defeated by the late Chiveginja, but took the seat again anyway. He has had two very difficult elections, but also he has no political home. Currently, he has no political home. He's independent, and he becomes a very endangered species. So he has to look for a home. It is only logical, and at that, I think he's 60 or thereabout. Then he should be preparing to be an ambassador. The job of a failed NRM candidate at primaries or at constituency is an ambassador. If you want to be an ambassador, very quickly go stand, fail as an NRM person, you'll get an embassy.
So he's targeting.
But for me, I think he wants to be a judge, and I think he would suit that one.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So, Kada judges.
It's about personal interests.
But what is wrong? You see, for me, that's what I was saying the other day. Casting personal interest as wrong. Okay, so who has impersonal interest? The bishop, the professor, we all have personal interests. So if you are in politics, if you have turned yourself into a professional politician, then it means you project your interests there.
That's true.
If you decide to be an academic like Werihe, and he's teaching in EMI and teaching in St. Augustine University, then you say personal interest. What do you want him? What else is he doing? So I don't want us to cast it in. And the same as Mapinduzi. I think Mapinduzi started being a counselor in 2000, I don't know. Oh yes, as a young man. He has gone through. He has gone through.
The LC5.
He became a councillor, speaker, district chairman, MP. Where do you want him to go? Which is his home? Again, independent. So
yeah, but as new formations.
So for me, when you are telling me that there is a freedom, that I should be
the Front for Freedom, are coming up.
Which one? PPF. This one for syphilis and the PPF was the medicine for syphilis and gonorrhea when we were growing up. So it was a very important antibiotic until it was taken over by the septrins now.
Doesn't that speak about the president's statement when he said opposition at one point will be no more?
Nothing. I have told you the statistics have been very clear. There is no time when President Museveni has not lost more than 3.5 million votes. Whenever he stands, he loses more than 3.5 million votes. So how do you say? So the opposition is not expressed in parties. The opposition is expressed against the 40-year presidency. We have a presidentialism system in this country. So you have to look at it from the other side.
Does it speak to anything as we head into 2026? The dominance?
Nothing.
The one-party
Nothing.
dominance?
There is no one party. You have President Museveni. This, which party? Me, I've told you
party.
Waringa.
There are
Don't
no
take me to
parties.
Waringa.
According to you?
Which
no
party?
parties?
Nothing. People have vehicles which they form every time and they should do to deliver them to the next office.
Good morning, Apple and the panel. To me, the defections are simply defined by the infightings within opposition parties, that these people feel safe politically running to NRM. And second, Dr. Wanzala should also note that in Uganda, we have no political parties, but people run where they have political relevancy and survival. Yeah. He is Abel Akampumu Zakeru. Thank you so much for that comment. You on spot. Let's have those comments coming. We will be closing in 20 so minutes. I ask the producer to run that number on the screen. Send in your WhatsApp messages or SMS comments and tell us what you think about these defections. Augustine, are these defections, now that you've heard of these submissions, and even in your submission admitting that these are driven by personal interest, they, like Willie said, these politicians look at NRM as that heaven with very many rooms and spaces. Is that something you can feel good about as a member, as an NRM supporter?
Yes, of course, it's an addition of a prominent politician into the profile of NRM. But also, I think it's important for us to appreciate that politics is a contest of ideas, and in every election, or even before election, it is a responsibility of every party to ensure that they poach, to ensure, in Africa you poach people who can keep your politics relevant. The two individuals we are talking about are people with a very strong record, and they are people who are known for standing with, of certain things, certain values. In Gulu, for example, when you talk about how beautiful Gulu city is, you cannot remove the name of Mapinduzi from it. So he has exhibited that he's a patriot, for example. First of all, he's a patriot. Why? Because the money that was sent to Gulu city in order to modify that place into a better place did the work it was meant for.
Put to good use.
It did not. It was put to good use. He showed that he was not corrupt. Recently, when the MPs were in Gulu, some of them were getting lost. They could not believe that we have a beautiful city like Gulu in northern Uganda. But this is stressed to the work that Mapinduzi started in creating good roads and better infrastructure for that place when it was still even a municipality. On the issue of Katuntu, we all know what he has been
he's a prominent lawyer.
He's a prominent lawyer. He's been free of many scandals. He has been participating in committees that have really brought a lot of accountability to the people. The public has known many things, the corruption scandals that were unraveled by the Katuntu Committee and many others. So, to me, I think having them join NRM is a good thing.
You're not concerned about the future of other political parties?
I'm coming to that.
Becoming weaker and weaker at the expense of NRM.
You see, it is not the responsibility of NRM as a political party to make other political parties strong. It is not the duty of NRM. It is the duty of members of those political parties to work around their internal mechanisms to ensure that they become better than NRM. The work of NRM as a political party is to ensure that they do everything possible, apply all the approaches in terms of negotiating, poaching, and strengthening in terms of sourcing resources and so on and so forth, to make themselves better so that they can continue being in power. So there is no way NRM can deliberately, as a political party, will want you as opposition to be stronger than them.
Your comrade Baguma says you are not even a political party, you are Waringa.
Well, that's a debate for another.
Waringa is Mirage.
That's a debate for another. Me, I was recruited by the political party. I was not in
You are a Mirage.
And then you immediately become a bishop.
No, you have to forgive him. He was in displaced people's camps. way.
So the point I'm making is that political parties should avoid looking at NRM as the party to help them. The FDC, for example, me, I've worked as a researcher in the NRM for some time. But one thing that I have observed, for example, is the FDC. For some time, FDC has been practicing party politics to the extent that everything they have been doing has been in respect to the Political Parties and Organizations Act, to the extent that the Secretary General has a bigger say in deployment and many more other things within the political party. So I think if you looked at FDC as a political party, where they are, it's their responsibility. I think a lot of interest.
When NRM is continuously accused of weakening other political parties, to the extent of smashing their offices wherever they are elected in, up country.
At least, I was from Karenga the other day. The first thing on my left as I was turning to head to Gulu was an FDC office. It is there. And it is a very beautiful office painted in blue and with the pictures of both Besige and Amurian on their wall. So the point I'm making is that, yes, we may still have challenges in growing our democracy, our multi-party democracy. But I think to a great extent, we have been moving to that direction. We have seen Bobby Wine launching offices in Fort Portal. We saw him in Mbarara. We saw him in Kabale launching the NUP offices. And I think, to me, that's a sign that the multi-party politics, the party politics in this country has been given a chance.
Are you saying multi-party multi-partyism is growing, is getting better?
It is moving to the right direction. The biggest problem we have is the internal management mechanisms that we see in these political parties. As my senior lecturer Gerald here said, the biggest problem of our political parties is that they are formed out of reaction. They do not have a clear ideology. So in the process, for example, if you see the fights in NU, it's about fighting for money. The 8 billion which comes to the political party, everybody wants to see how they can touch that money. And that's where the problem is. So the issue now shifts from their quest to take over power to surviving for the money within the money that they have been able to get. So I think unless political parties shift away from the reactionary mechanisms of formation of these political parties and build parties around ideology, then we can be able to have better.
Thank you so much, Oteko. Let me get 1-2 comments and we prepare to conclude. I am happy with Mr. Baguma's reaction. The issue of political parties' existence, okay, on the issue of political parties' existence, so then what could be his advice to us who are not affiliated to any? If then, why can't he start up something for Ugandans to show as an example of a political party? They are challenging you to...
Yeah, but they are right. But you see, for me, I cannot go
to form another PPF.
It has to be an NRA, another NRA. Yes, you can't go to face these guys with the placards. It's a joke. It's a joke. If you are going to negotiate with my President Yoweri Museveni, you have to have the capacity to generate heat He cannot come to discuss with you because he loves you very much. He has to see the threat. The threat of bloodshed has to be real. Now, for us who have no capacity for that, then we have to keep in our space, which is coming here and telling Otuke that he was working in a Waringa. He's my friend for many years. He's my younger brother. But I understood that he needed to be in a Waringa for us to be in our other spaces. Yeah, now he has somewhere. I am very happy about that. So we have to be realistic with ourselves. That's why I say, don't lead our young people to be killed.
Yeah.
Don't deceive them to be killed.
But you're saying, you're saying it's the only way. Violence is the only way.
I'm saying have the capacity, build the capacity.
To bring President Museveni to the negotiating table.
Build the capacity. Don't take them without capacity. Don't take them. It is not Rugogo Indoor Stadium. You know, or neither Nambole. It's more serious than that. It is Ruwero.
Okay. Okay. Comrade Rugalama says there is general deficiency of ideological appreciation of the various political parties in our country by their supposed members, and this includes members of our NRM. He is also NRM. In the above light, issues of selfish interests informing crossovers and simply crossing due to deficiencies in ideology cannot be put beyond debate. Very spot on. Thank you so much, comrade. That is exactly what Dr. Gerard and the colleagues here are saying. Now, with the no ideological direction in these political parties, and with the NRM now gathering more political support and attracting more prominent politicians, what do you envisage going forward? Are we heading to a one-party domination? What do you see in especially in the next political season?
Actually, for me, when I look at Uganda, my worry is usually the post-Museveni era. I think we have done everything. We have been activists in political parties. We left. We have been activists in civil society. We are in academia. We are looking at all this. But the biggest worry is the post-Museveni. Because if you have institutions that have no ideological orientation, what kind of economic system do you want to establish? What are you going to do? What are your values? It's not there. We risk a situation where a ragtag person will emerge at a certain point and defeat a very unpopular group of people and might drive this country into a hole. That is very possible. You saw in Senegal, someone emerging, released from prison a week later, he wins elections without a political party. Today they cannot legislate anything in the parliament. He dissolved the parliament,
he dissolved the parliament the other day.
Yeah, because nothing is moving. He's populist, came from prison, and so forth. So it's not a good thing that even UNRM, you just bring people. Even if I join a church, I cannot become a bishop the next day. I need to be vetted. What am I bringing? What are my intentions? That is why the British Conservative Party is hundreds of years old. It is elected by millions of people, but it only has 30,000 members in its party. Why? You swear by the values. What are you standing for? Are you a thief? But now, if I see tomorrow the clouds are forming around my constituency, it's going to rain on me. I don't know where I'm going to shelter. Register. Then I cross, and the next day I have the double cabins, the convoys. Am I going to add value?
So it's really bad for our future.
It's very, very bad for our future. We need to develop a culture where we support these institutions to grow. That is why the taxpayer of Uganda is spending 7 billion on NUP. And that's why we want accountability for that money from NUP. We are spending almost 30 billion giving to NRM, in addition to what they collect through the budget processes, through official budget of the president. So we want to see these are public institutions. They should demonstrate that they are accountable, they are able to train leaders, and that they are able to give leadership to this country.
Well, let me read more comments as we prepare to close the show in 7 minutes. I am Chivunike Samuel from Mpigi. Now Uganda politics is now jokes, like in Bobby Wine's song Kadingo. In Uganda is where a leader asks for stopping of outside donations, and later the same leader goes to the public to say that government has not helped its people. You get what he's saying? He's talking about individuals who want to block foreign support in the form of donations, but later they say the government has not delivered services, and he says we are in some form of comedy. Thank you so much, Mr. Chivunike Samuel from Mpigi, and all those who are watching. We should conclude. We have a few minutes, gentlemen. Your parting shot, Richard, going forward, what should we expect? A mass exodus now of people crossing from all sides? What do you expect?
Yes, no, exodus was in the Bible, that's it. There are no more exoduses. They are not there. You are going to see more of the same. You see, two things. If you gave me to restructure government, I would actually get a person like Katuntu and give him to be president. Yes, and then get Kainerugaba be vice president and minister of defense. And the fundamentals remain in place. And the paraphernalia of the Chiwan, the Waringa remains there also. And we continue. That is the transition that you are talking about. But for me, I do not share the pessimism that Uganda is going to collapse. Actually, Uganda is not at its weakest for me. I think the fundamentals. You see,
what are those fundamentals?
When people are looking
that you rely on?
When people are looking at buildings, especially if you see the modern construction, they don't even put any more bricks in the walls now.
They use metal.
Metallic pylons. The things you can also remove plywood in the middle because, and so when you come and touch the plywood of the wall up there, you think the house is weak. The house is not weak.
Okay.
The fundamentals, in my view, of state are in place. So this worry that the country is going to get demised tomorrow, wapi? It is that lack of assessment of the unseen, of the not everyday seen pillars, which are covered by the walls and the paint.
Your final comment?
So for me, Apollo, there is not going to be an exodus. You have two relatively retired gentlemen preparing for their retirement.
Yeah.
And that cannot be a basis for an exodus.
Thank you.
No, I think you are going to be having fairly more of the same.
Thank you.
You have to factor in one thing, and that is that the median age of a Ugandan now is about 17 and a half years. When you don't see that politically, you are in trouble.
Dr. Werihe, your final comment?
Yeah, Ugandans should begin to critically analyze the institutions, analyze the leaders, analyze the intentions of leaders, and also participate in these processes. I don't believe that we should look hopeless and we get laid back. It is our country. We need to be engaged to ensure that the little brick that we add on our country.
Is PFF? Is it PFF?
PFF
going to?
I think PFF is likely to suffer a stillbirth. You know why? Because majority of the people associated with it want to go for constituents, and they believe that Besigye still has the mantle to take them, like those in Rukunjiri, in Kabale, to come back to parliament. But the way it's going, it looks like he himself is also not very sure, since he's actually not even associating with them up to where they go there. So I believe that
it is still stuck in the mud.
It is still stuck in the mud. It may not be a wave that other people are talking about, that may be another wave in our politics.
Augustine, while you celebrate the likes of Comrade Doctor, think this is not good for our future. It is not good. In your final comment.
Well, when you say it's not good,
For the future of the democracy in Uganda.
it is actually good because it will help political parties to grow their internal fabric to manage their internal differences so that members cannot easily exit their political parties. My view is that we maybe the law needs to guide this policy, because when you read the Political Parties and Organizations Act, it is very silent about the composition of the party secretariats. And I think maybe we need to deliberately as a country ensure that we make an amendment on the Political Parties and Organizations Act. In order to create strong political parties, we should be able to say there should be a director economics who must be at a level of maybe a professor or something like that. Because when you go to these strong political parties, whether in Africa, when you go to CCM, ANC, this one in Ghana and others, you actually realize that the economics department of a political party is where all the ideas of economy are generated. All the possible alternative policies, economic policies of the parties are actually generated from the economics department. So in brief, at the moment we just have positions being thrown left and right. There are no proposals, alternative proposals to NRM and so many other things. But
So you think we still have time to make amendments here and there?
yeah,
And
see, as I said,
and patch.
we are a growing multi-party democracy, and I think we can still make it better.
Wapi, Apo, this man is very subversive. Subversive. You are proposing to make Guru, which is the center of economic ideation, redundant.
Eh. Within NRM,
No, but I'll give you an example. The head of research of FDC, because we used to interface in iPod, is a PhD holder.
our
I
time,
think
But he has come to the NRM.
he has not.
He will.
Oh, please.
our time is up, and we must thank you so much
You keep this
for
recording.
tuning in. Thank you so much for being part of this debate. My name is Prince Apollo. I have to thank my panel, Augustine Otoko. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Dr. Gerard, it's always a privilege to have you on the
I'm
show.
also happy to meet Otuko every time he comes here, although the driver is taking them at a terrific speed.
The Waringa. Richard, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming today.
Welcome, you're welcome.
And to the production team, thank you so much. Let's catch up again next Saturday in another edition of The Dialogue. Good evening, good afternoon, and have a good day.